If you are rostering these 6 players in Dynasty Fantasy Football or thinking about trading for them, do not do it. They are ticking time bombs 100%. Once everybody realizes that, you're absolutely screwed. Sell them now before everybody else in your league wakes up, and stick around to the end of the video as well, because I will go over my number 1 must-sell guy of 2025. If you do anything, skip to the end of that video and make sure you watch it. It is a little bit controversial. Starting off, number 1, DeAndre Swift, and his value is there. The Bears brought in Ben Johnson, a pretty brilliant mind from the Detroit Lions, and as we get into this itself, guys, if you are new, please go through and hit that subscribe button. I drop videos like this every single week. Also, consider hitting that like button. Helps me out a ton. It'll help you see more videos like this. But a lot of people see the Ben Johnson edition and see what he did in Detroit and say, okay, I love it. You know, Swift is only 26 years old. He's still relatively young. Your league mates that only look at offers from young players and discriminate against age, they're going to be interested in this deal here. He's coming off a pretty good season, all things considered. He finished as the RB19, 1,000 yards total, 6 touchdowns, but he always has running back competition. DeAndre Swift last year averaged 55% of the snaps compared to Roschon Johnson seeing about the other 40% mixed in with even Travis Homer when he was healthy. It's not a true RB1 system. We have to realize that it never really will be, even with the addition of Ben Johnson. I mean, look at what he did in Detroit. Granted, he did have 2 elite running backs, but I truly do believe that he will be replaced in the draft at some point. Now, does this mean they're going to go get an Ashton Genty this season and spend a ton of their draft capital on just a running back? No, they have some bigger issues to solve, but definitely I do believe that they're going to grab maybe a 2nd, 3rd, 4th round running back in the draft and kind of use that as a competition, because we look at guys exactly like what Tampa did with Bucky Irving and Rachaad White. Drafted a running back. Eventually, he turned out to be better than Rachaad White. I personally never really liked Rachaad White as far as efficiency goes, but that's a story for another day. You guys probably already know that if you've been around this channel for enough, but this offense is going to get better. That's almost a 100% fact. People will buy in on Swift because of that fact. I mean, they were 23rd in rushing attempts last year, 25th in yards, 31st in red zone efficiency at the running backs combined for touchdowns. So Caleb Williams, he is going to improve. The offense is going to be a little bit better as far as building in the draft, but this is exactly what we need to be avoiding in 2025, and why I'm saying this, because his value right now is in round 5. Like, that is not where it should be, especially considering they're probably going to get another running back involved, whether it's Roschon Johnson or a guy in the draft, but this is exactly why you can trade him away and get some pretty good value in return. But if you want to stay ahead of the game 365 days of the year, please consider going through and throwing a subscribe on this channel. If you are new, it helps me out so much, but you guys can look at all my other videos and see the quality is there, the numbers are there. But next up, another controversial guy is going to be Aaron Jones, coming off a great season. Again, finishing as the RB15 last year with the Vikings. Like, all of that alone, like, itself is very impressive, because all of the odds were against him. A running back over the age of 28 with a new team, still finishing top 15, that rarely ever happens. But that time is coming to an end, especially with the moves that the Vikings made over the offseason, losing Sam Darnold to the Seahawks. Now, they're going to run with JJ McCarthy, who is essentially a rookie. It's not terrible. It could definitely be worse, but he is coming off a pretty big injury. The Vikings have denied all trade offers and calls for JJ, so it's kind of a proven fact that they're just going to go with him as the number 1. They're not really going to draft guys to get in the way of that. Maybe they'll go sign a veteran on a cheap deal to back him up and teach him some things. Again, we've seen that a lot of times in the NFL, but because of this, they may even lean on the run game even more. With him under center, that is going to be a plus for Aaron Jones. But then you look at what exactly they did. You know, you have to be one step ahead with the business aspect of the NFL. The Vikings go out and get Jordan Mason from the 49ers, a great running back, all things considered, that averaged 5.16 yards per carry last season on 153 attempts. Again, just shy of 800 rushing yards. Like, he was very good, very efficient, all things considered. That is a huge question mark for Aaron Jones coming into the 2025 NFL season. Not many teams at all in the NFL at this point, day and age, run a 1 RB system unless you have, again, a guy like Derrick Henry. Even him, he's starting to slow down. He is old. That's a whole other conversation itself. But they're going to probably split 60-40. My guess, Aaron Jones gets the third down work, pretty much all of the receiving upside, and then Jordan Mason probably going to get some early down snaps, split the goal line, if not take it, because we do have to look at that. He is 225 pounds compared to Aaron Jones at 195. That kind of just makes sense there. Jones will be also turning 31 this season. There is a statistical drop off there we cannot ignore. And even before they went out and signed Jordan Mason, Jones was splitting snaps with Cam Akers. Ultimately, he was released and he's a free agent now at this point, but that's still a massive upgrade from Cam Akers to Jordan Mason. They have a plan there. They want to use an RB2. Jones likely going to lose a lot of value as the year goes on. Again, he's not getting any younger. Injury concerns do start to pop up. He has had some issues of that earlier in his career as well. So luckily, he still does hold the name value and his price is going to be automatically higher because of that. That's exactly why we need to get some valuable pieces from him right now in the market. But another guy that should not be turning heads at all is DK Metcalf. Now, I understand, again, the appeal is here. Like, he has the name value. He was relatively boom or bust in Seattle. He had JSN. dealing with target competition there. Even Tyler Lockett. Geno wasn't amazing either. It's not going to help his case. But now he goes to the Steelers for new beginnings, and what exactly is getting better here? He's entering an Arthur Smith offense with the Steelers that is about as anti-wide receiver as you can possibly get, with a 62-38 run-to-pass ratio, and a high percentage of those pass plays were screen plays and dump-offs, and that's not exactly what DK Metcalf's game is. His game is exactly what George Pickens' game is, more or less. So they're both downfield, contested catch, X-wide receivers. So you have two of those guys that don't really match the offensive scheme that Arthur Smith is used to playing with. There is definitely some discrepancy of uncertainty what we can expect into the season. Now, from a dynasty perspective, it may be smart to hold him for a while because DK Metcalf is still on a 5-year contract he just signed with the Steelers. It makes me think that the Steelers and George Pickens combined into the future isn't that high of a chance. Maybe they don't bring him back, but even if that does happen, what is this offense? Mason Rudolph's at quarterback. Jalen Warren is our starting running back. Then we have Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson outside of these top two wide receivers. That's not necessarily the strongest offensive core. This team is definitely going to go more or less all in on the offense in the draft. Maybe hopefully get a quarterback. I really don't want to see Mason Rudolph play any snaps starting for this team. DK, he's never averaged more than 8.5 targets per game in a season. He's not necessarily a volume guy. We can't rely on his touchdowns to keep his fantasy points relevant either because there's too many question marks there. Who's the quarterback? Who's the running back going to be? What's their scheme? It's just not something you can expect to get 10 plus touchdowns. I really doubt that. Even the sports books don't even have that close. And another guy we need to be adding onto this list is Tony Pollard here. And there is a few reasons why I say this. Number one, the Titans coaching staff, they do not want to have a number one RB system workhorse guy. It's just not what any NFL team does, especially them though. They've come out and said they want to run more of a 1A, 1B situation at the running back position. Pollard isn't necessarily a generational talent that needs it and requires it anyways. He's coming off a big year. Yes, that is true. Over 1,000 yards rushing, good receiving involvement. He finished as the RB21 last season, but he only saw above a 75% snap share on 4 games last season. All 4 of those games were ones that Tajay Spears was injured and was missing that entirety of the game. So in my opinion, Tony Pollard is replaceable. He averaged 4 yards per carry last season. His more advanced metrics don't necessarily prove that he's better than the raw numbers say. And if you go into the one game that Pollard did miss in week 17 against the Jaguars, they shoveled 20 carries and 4 targets to Tajay Spears as the RB1. So if it's not Spears, it could easily, again, be another running back they go out and get in the NFL draft. I think there is a ton of guys worth drafting and taking a swing on as far as the NFL perspective, as well as a fantasy perspective. I went and broke down all of the running backs in late rounds that I really do love, especially Dynasty, Redraft, whatever fantasy football platform you're playing on. Go get one of those guys in your NFL rookie drafts or redraft, whatever it may be. I will pin the video up here for you guys to go watch it. But Tony Pollard's job security isn't amazing. Again, he has 2 more years left on his contract. He is 27 years old. By the time it's up, he will be 29. Again, he's not getting younger as the year goes on. In that 2 years of his contract, how much better can the Titans realistically get in that 2-year span? I mean, we have Will Levis at quarterback. Maybe they change that up this year. Maybe they change it up in the year after that. I don't think there's going to be that big of a switch for this offense to be that much better to make Tony Pollard a good value as far as a dynasty perspective goes. But in a redraft perspective, again, a 1-year change really can't be that drastic to make him this much better of a running back compared to where he's being drafted at right now. Here is where the real controversy does begin, because James Cook is also on this list, believe it or not, solely because of the fact that you can get so much value for him. No doubt he's a great running back. I also do believe this. A lot of people say that he is so good in fantasy football because he is touchdown dependent. Last year, he was the RB8 with 18 touchdowns. That means 41% of his fantasy points did come from touchdowns. That is an insanely high clip, but you look at 2023, the year before that, he was the RB12 with only 6 touchdowns, so he can get it done regardless. The touchdowns obviously are going to help you out there, but the offense is always going to be good. Josh Allen, he got his extension. It's going to be an insanely efficient offense as long as he is there and healthy. I've seen people sell Cook for guys like Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, multiple first-round picks. I'm doing all of these moves 100%. Like, he's not a terrible running back. There are so many great running backs also coming into the draft this year as rookies. It's going to inflate the market. By default, his value is going to be lower. If I'll put it this way for you guys, if you think about it, if there's only 6, let's say, elite running backs in the entire NFL as far as a fantasy perspective goes, but 30 elite wide receivers in the league, the value of those running backs are going to be very, very high. Again, it's just basic supply and demand. So when we have a bunch of these really valuable running backs coming into the draft and guys breaking out every single year, Bucky Irving becoming a top guy, Chase Brown becoming a top guy, that makes his value as a 5th round pick in the market with guys like Josh Jacobs, Devonta Smith, Sam Laporta next to him, just not really that worth it. Again, I promise you, people will spend way too much to get this guy on their roster. You can probably take advantage of those league mates that are sleeping a little bit on what his real value is. But if you skip to this part in the video, I completely understand. I don't blame you. We all need to know this. Cooper Kupp is a guy that we should be avoiding at all costs. Now, let me explain this. First, let's go ahead and break down the player of Cooper Kupp and understand that. He goes out, he gets a new beginning on the Seahawks. Sam Darnold at quarterback. He's a guy that just finished top 10 in every single passing statistic with touchdowns and yards. Similar situation in the fact that now he has JSN to compete with targets for when he had Puka Nacua in the Rams last year. So as far as target competition goes, not much changes there. But he's 31, turning 32 years old this season. He finished as a wide receiver 38 and the wide receiver 40 in 2023, the year before that. Granted, he didn't play a fully healthy season since his 2021 year where he was a triple crown wide receiver 1 fantasy phenom, but because of that, we do treat his name value higher than what it actually is, and it shouldn't be as high as people put him on a pedestal to be. I mean, if you look at his chart, he's only finished above the top 20 wide receivers in 2 out of his 8 total seasons. Those numbers don't really depict a guy that should be going this high. Now, he's still, again, getting older. If we dive deeper into the statistics, it does show that. Flats, outs, screens, those are his most successful routes, and he's been averaging an 80% consecutive conversion rate for the past couple years, to be honest. Pretty much all of his NFL career, he's been good in those routes, but I mean, most people are. Let's be fair. You can't really drop screens unless, I don't know, you're Kadarius Toney, but every other route, more or less, is below average, and those success metrics have been dropping. With slants and curls, digs, all of those routes at a 60% success rate, go routes, post, corners, the deeper routes at 50% in the success rate. So when you isolate those success rates on routes by defensive coverage, if we take another step here, last year was good against zone coverage. He always pretty much has been. A 76% success rate on those defensive coverages, but again, if you look at the past couple years, specifically in 2021, where he had that great season, he was in the 90s as far as the success rate goes. So those numbers are still dropping as well. And then you look at everything else, 50% success against man, 42% success against press coverage. Those numbers are not good. Like, maybe it sounds good as far as a percentage for people that aren't looking at the whole picture of the numbers. Those are not very good numbers. Now he's leaving the more or less perfect situation with Sean McVay. He's been there for a long time. He knows the coaching. He knows how the offense works. He has Matt Stafford at quarterback, a guy that absolutely floods him with targets like nobody else is going to do. To Sam Darnold, possibly a worse offensive situation. Sam Darnold, again, he's not a liability, but we saw what he did in those last few games of the NFL season and in the playoffs. It didn't necessarily look amazing. Maybe that carries into the next season here and he doesn't perform that well. All this to say, the perceived value of everybody in the media is driving him up with these new beginnings in Seattle, this and that, and it's just not true for what he really is. I'd love to go get a guy, even like Jacoby Myers, for him 1-to-1, but that is going to finish out this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you watching. All glory to the man above, and I will see you in the next one coming soon.